In One Piece, the Yonko are viewed as the strongest pirates on the sea, but as we know, pirate crews aren't just made up of one person. It needs to be full of a bunch of people, and to be a Yonko, your crew around you also need to be strong. And because of this, the discussion around which Yonko crew is better than the other, or just which Yonko crew is the strongest, often comes up in discussions. So in this video, I'm going to be going over every Yonko crew that we've seen, and I'm going to put them against each other and see which one is the strongest and just how they rank in general. Wait, hold up. If you guys enjoy this type of content, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe, since I do put out content like this regularly. So I feel like it's a win-win. You guys like and subscribe, and obviously I'll continuously put out content like this. Whether it's One Piece, other animes, or just fiction in general, eventually I'll end up going there and covering it, so be there when I go there. And with that being said, I feel like that's enough of my rambling, so let's get straight into the video and truly find out who has the strongest Yonko crew. Now before I dive into the video head first, what I want to do is I want to set some rules so you guys know what I'm ranking it by and whatnot. Rule number 1, I will be including the whole entire crew. That does include the Yonko as well, but I will not be including any fleets that they have, so the Grand Fleet will not be involved. Number 2, I'll be making 2 tier lists. One tier list will go over everybody that's been on the crew, aside from if they made their own crew. So I know everybody's looking at Whitebeard and Blackbeard. No, when I go over the peak of what the Whitebeard crew would be, I'm not going to be including Blackbeard. Blackbeard obviously has his own crew, so he will not be there. But for everybody else that's on there, yes, they will be in that peak version of the crew. Also, when I say peak, I'm not putting everybody at their peak. I'm just saying the crew as a general, like everybody that has died is alive and they're going to be on the crew. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm putting them at their peak. And the second list will make more of a realistic version, so the last iteration of the crew when they were seen. This is mainly for the Whitebeard pirates, since if you like add a few things, their rankings could change and whatnot. So I just want to make it so it's like I get to see all variations of each crew, mainly the Whitebeard pirates though. But yeah, with that being said, I think the rules are done, so let's get straight into the video. Now starting off with the breakdown part of the video, I'm going to start with the Blackbeard Pirates. Now right now the Blackbeard Pirates are at its peak, so I won't need to change anything for the segment after this, but for now I'm going to go over the main fighters, and obviously they are Kuzan, Shiryu, Pizarro, Van Arga, Burgess and Katarina Devon. And along with Blackbeard, this makes the crew very fierce. The reason why the crew is held up in such high regard is because they have a former admiral, Pizarro who is literally an island, Van Arga who is probably one of the best snipers we've seen, Burgess who is really strong, Shiryu who, I mean look, he was a Impel down guard at one point. You also have Lafitte who is very stealthy. He was able to get into Marie's War pretty easily. And as a whole, every commander is of high regard. They at least have something about them that is special that makes them stand out. And with the Hachinosu section of Egghead, we're able to see how impressive the crew can truly be. With only half of their soldiers there, they're able to take on sword by themselves. Now although many people may say that they have had bad showings, I'm just going to tell you this now. We never actually have seen them at full strength, meaning we've never seen them as a collective. Unlike every other Yonko crew out there, whenever we've seen them, they've been split up and divided. Whenever we see Shanks's crew, whenever we see Big Mom's crew, whenever we've seen the rest of them, they're all together. But the Blackbeard crew are so strong, they're able to divide themselves and still hold that level of power. And later on I'm going to explain why this is so key to their ranking. But as a whole, the Blackbeard pirates are very tight when it comes to each strength of power. For mid-tier characters, they have people like Shiryu, Pizarro and whatnot. For top tiers, they have Kuzan and Blackbeard. And for lower tier characters like Katarina Devon and whatnot, they do have little tricks and stuff that can keep them ahead of the other low tier characters, which makes the crew overall a very tight crew. Following up on the Blackbeard pirates, I want to cover the Big Mom pirates. Now in terms of sheer numbers, the Big Mom pirates are probably on the bigger side, as they do have a lot of people on the crew. Among all of those fighters, I want to hone in on the main ones, which are like Katakuri, Cracker, Smoothie, Oven, Big Mom and obviously Paris Pero. I feel like out of all the Yonko crews, these guys have the most unique powers, since they got people like Katakuri, Cracker, Big Mom, Paris Pero. So when you mesh them all together, you get to see how uniquely the crew can fire. Now in my opinion, I do believe that the bulk of this crew is more in its mid-tier section than its upper tier section, as a lot of the fighters on this crew aren't in that upper tier, but they do have a lot of unique devil fruits. So when you smack them all together, you're kind of like, okay, as a full package, these guys can be very hard to fight. The reason I say their top tier fighters aren't as strong as the others is because we have Katakuri, who's meant to be the strongest out of all of them, and I don't believe that he is stronger than a lot of the other first commanders out on this list. When you have people like Cracker, Smoothie and whatnot on your crew to do many little busted things they can do with their devil fruits, it's kind of like, okay, it kind of does make up for it, and it makes their mid section of the crew very bulky. So I say they're a solid crew with a lot of numbers backing them, and that's going to help in the ranking later. Up next is the Red Haired Pirates, and canonically they are stated to be the most well-rounded crew, so I don't believe there's a single low tier fighter on the base crew, and so I believe they're all just mid tier and up. As we know, the Red Haired Pirates are one of the smaller crews, which means that they don't have as much numbers as the other, but as we know, as I just said, they do have a lot of power behind those numbers, so it's kind of like it kind of negates all the bulk that the other crews do have. So it's like instead of having 100 fodder, you then have one lime juice is able to take him out in one shot, and he just negates all that fodder, which basically allows him to be one solid crew instead of like a crew with a few people on it and there's just hundreds of fodder. Now as of right now, we have no idea how strong they are individually, but as we know, as a group they are meant to be very well rounded, so I'm going to assume, as I said before, they're all at that mid tier level at the bare minimum, meaning I can see half of the crew being in that mid tier section, and then in the upper tier section I can see the other half of the crew just chilling there. With Shanks being their captain, it's obvious to say that this crew is meant to be feared. Moving on from the Red Haired Pirates, we have the Straw Hat Pirates. Now we are all well acquainted with the Straw Hat Pirates, and we've seen the Straw Hat Pirates go up against two other Yonko crews, so we can basically give them a good gauge to where they should be at. Now as we know, the Straw Hat Pirates are very top heavy, as they do rely on Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Frankie and Jinbei. Now in every single scenario we've seen them go up against the Yonko crew, they've had to get help, but that doesn't take away from the fact that as a crew now, they've obviously grown since they fought those two Yonko crews, so you could say that they can handle the Yonko crews a little bit better now, but that's besides the point. We're gonna get into that later, but for right now we do have to focus on Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei and Frankie. Now as we know, Zoro and Sanji are one of the stronger commanders we do have in the series. I don't believe that they are the strongest, but I do believe in that commander discussion the both of them are at the top. And I believe that Jinbei does hang around that mid-tier section. I don't believe that Frankie is going to be on the level of Jinbei, but I do believe that he is in that mid-tier section, so he's able to also help. But it's important to know that these guys are formidable commanders, and both Zoro and Sanji will be holding up the crew very well, along with Luffy, of course, as Luffy is one of the stronger characters in the series, period. So I'd say, aside from like the weaker five that we have on the crew, the upper five are very strong and they'll be able to hold up the Yonko crew status. Now moving on to the crew that they just destroyed, let's talk about the Beast Pirates. Now this is either the biggest Yonko crew or the second biggest Yonko crew. I don't know which one as of right now, but I do think that they're either the biggest or the second biggest, and that's mainly because of the numbers, the gifters, the Tobiropo, the All-Stars and then Kaido himself. And with each time you go up, there's another tier in power that you go up as well, so the crew is stacked. The bulk is insane. Even among the Tobiropo, who aren't even the main guys on the crew, they are able to take on certain commanders and will probably have a good time against those commanders. And then when it comes to King, Queen and Jack, these guys are also formidable as well, since they are the strongest out of all of them, and just in front of them is Kaido, who as we know is one of the stronger characters in the series, period. Although this crew did lose, it wasn't by normal means. Everybody went out in some sort of special way. For instance, Tama was turning half of the gifters against the actual crew itself. I don't think you understand how it's like when you have that going on your battlefield and then you're having Yonkos fighting the Tobiropo, you're like, okay, that wasn't really necessary, was it? Both OT and Page 1 were taking serious attacks from Big Mom. I don't think you guys really understand why it's like the crew lost in a very unfair way. But in my opinion, that just goes to show how strong the crew is overall. And with that being said, I now want to transition into another crew, and that is the Whitebeard Pirates. Remember, this is the crew of all its members, so we're going to be having Oden, Ace, Vista, Jozu, Izo, Thatch. I know Thatch didn't do anything, but Thatch is also here as well. And obviously we have Whitebeard, but he's not going to be in his prime, he's going to be old Whitebeard. Now starting off from the top, we have Oden. Now as we know, Oden is a very strong fighter. He is somebody that was able to tank Divine Departure, and by the time he went back to Wano, he was off that tier of the Yonko. Marco has shown us his strength in many different fights, but as we know, Marco is a very top tier Yonko commander. Now for Ace, in this video I'm going to be going over his anime and manga version, but if I really wanted to take the crew to the next levels, I could just talk about his light novel version, and that's just another busted character added on. But the manga version of Ace is very powerful as well. We have Vista, who was able to stall Mihawk. Although it wasn't a very serious fight, he was still able to stall him. Jozu was able to take an attack from Mihawk and damage Kuzan, and Izo, well, Izo's just Izo, so yeah, he just gets thrown on there as well. And then when you think about all the other commanders they have on their crew, the Whitebeard Pirates are stacked, and I do believe that they're either the biggest Yonko crew in terms of just numbers, or they're the second biggest. It's between them and the Beast Pirates. And so it's like when you look at their sheer numbers and you look at the fighters they have on top, they have Oden and Whitebeard at the front, then have behind them is Ace, Marco, Vista, Jozu, Izo. You have all these people that are like mid to high tier level combined. It's like the crew is stacked. And there isn't really anything else for me to say until I properly rank the crew, so with that being said, I'm now going to move into the next crew, which is Buggy's crew. Finally, we have Cross Guild, and as of right now, we only have like 3 main faces, one being the non-combatant and the other 2 being combatants, and the combatants are Mihawk and Crocodile. And as we know, these 2 are strong, but they're not making up for the severe lack of numbers. They do have a lot of fodder, but they don't have enough main people on the crew. Yes, I do understand that Crocodile and Mihawk are very strong, Mihawk being a Yonko tier fire and then Crocodile being a high tier commander level fire. Those 2 are obviously people that we can look to and be like, yeah, they've got it, but we don't know about the rest of the crew. And so since it's on the edge of my tongue and I want to spoil everything, let's just get into the rankings and see who has the strongest Yonko crew. Now, I said before, there's going to be a section after this where I go over the Yonko crews when they're not at their peak, so they don't have all of their people on it, but I don't think it will really change that much. The only one that changes is the Whitebeard Pirates. But with that being said, let's get into the ranking, and at number 1 I have the Whitebeard Pirates. Even if Whitebeard's old, Oden is there, Ace is there, Marco's there, Josu's there, Vista's there, it's like, yes, they do have a lot of numbers and there is a lot of quantity there, but within that quantity there is a lot of quality, and that is something that you do need for a Yonko crew, and that is what allows them to easily take first place. In second place with the Blackbeard Pirates, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory as well, the sheer bulk of the crew is what makes them stand out, and it's the fact that they have another Yonko tier fire on the crew is what makes them very, very strong. What a lot of people need to understand is when a crew has a Yonko and then somebody else that is on that tier of a Yonko, it's like you can't really argue too much about it, and that is what's going to carry a crew. When you have 2 people that are on that tier, they can do a lot of things that people that are like, I don't know, Zoro's level or whatnot can't do. And so when you couple that up with many other commander tier fires, it's like, yeah, the crew is going to be strong, and that is why they are number 2. Moving on to the third spot, we have the Redhead Pirates. As I said before, the crew is more quality based over quantity. Although they don't have a lot of numbers on it, the small amount of people on the crew are able to make up for those numbers tenfold, and that is why they are up here. Due to the betrayal of the crew and with Shanks being at their forefront, I just believe that this crew is probably the 3rd strongest, and they are somebody that you don't want to run into. Moving on from them, we have 4th place, and the 4th place goes to the Beast Pirates. Now, they are mainly here for their sheer amount of numbers, and the thing is with their numbers is that they have a lot of good people within those numbers. Now, I don't believe it's enough to touch the Redhead Pirates or the Blackbeard Pirates or even the Whitebeard Pirates, but I do believe that it's enough to take down the other crews that are below them because of their sheer amount of numbers. I feel like fighting this crew is like playing Call of Duty Zombies. You have so many numbers and gifted, you can just send them out there, and then when you feel like it, you can drop in a Toby Ropo that's like a Panzer or something, and then they have to fight them off. And then when you send in an All-Star, you get a Margwa. It's like, if you guys play zombies, you'll get these references, but if you don't, then I'll stick it back to One Piece references. But yeah, it's like when you're fighting this crew, I feel like it's just one of the crews you don't really want to fight on a bad day. It's like you're going to be fighting so many different people that you're going to get tired after a while, and when you have somebody like Kaido who can fight forever, it's like I feel like this is one of the worst crews you want to fight. But with that being said, let's move into 5th place, and they are the Straw Hats. In my opinion, the lower half of the crew is what's holding the Straw Hats back. If they were a little bit stronger, you could put them past the Beast Pirates, but I don't believe they have that sort of like strength to where it's like, okay, we can put them past them. I do believe that Zoro, Sanji and whatnot, they're gonna be able to hold up the crew really well when it comes to these other fights, but nah, I don't believe that they can hold it up for a very long time. And I think as a community, that is the main criticism we do have for the crew. Every single time they go up against someone, they need some sort of help, and it's like it doesn't really strengthen them as a crew. Although they do get stronger as time goes by, it's like we still need to see them make those massive improvements. But as for right now, I think 5th place is a very, very good spot for them. In 6th, we have the Big Mom Pirates, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, why are they so low? They have a lot of numbers and whatnot, but I do feel like the other crews above them, even if the lower side of those crews may be able to get taken out, I do believe that the upper side can hold up and just deal with them. The fact that Katakuri isn't like one of the stronger people in the verse and he is their first commander is kind of like, okay, when you then think about all the other commanders behind them, it's like, yeah, I do believe that even the Straw Hats should be able to put them down and just take them out. Now, they could either go up or down depending on how Big Mom wants to fight. If Big Mom wants to actually fight like a person with a brain, then I think you can move him up a spot. But if not, then yeah, they're going to stay here and they're going to chill here. Cracker hasn't shown us anything that Jinbei can't deal with. I even see Frankie could have a good cracker. No pun intended, by the way. That just came off my tongue. Like, that just rolled off the tongue. But no, I don't feel like there's anything they can do that's going to really like damage the other crews above them. I do think they'll put them for a good fight, but no, I don't think they're going to be able to take out the other crews. And so in last place, that leaves Crosskilled, and the reason Crosskilled are here is because they only have Crocodile and Mihawk. What can Crocodile and Mihawk do against the sheer numbers of the other crews? Like, yes, okay, Mihawk is very strong, yes, Crocodile could be very strong, but what are they going to do when they have other fighters just piling on? And then what is it to talk about with their fodder? Their fodder isn't going to do much for the crew, so yeah, I do believe that they are in the 7th place. But don't worry folks, this isn't the end of the video. I now have to do the second list, where it's more of like as we see the crews right now, and the only crew it's really going to affect is the Whitebeard Pirates. So yeah, I'm going to reorder the list now. And in the new list we have the Blackbeard Pirates at number 1. Yes, I do believe right now in the verse the Blackbeard Pirates are number 1, and that is because we haven't seen them together as a group, and just look at what they're able to do separated. Separate any other Yonko crew like this aside from the Beast Pirates and watch how they crumble. You can't separate a Yonko crew like this and stick them up against these tough opponents and expect them to even come out alive. I'd even say the Beast Pirates get ate alive like this. Like, you can't split a crew up like how the Blackbeard Pirates have been split up and survive. Like, this crew is a one in a lifetime crew that we're gonna get to see. What's making the crew so powerful is Kuzan. Why do they need to have 2 Yonko level fighters on a crew? That just doesn't really make sense. But he's in the crew, so the crew has to be here. And so in second place we have the Redhead Pirates, and it was explained before why they're here. They're very well rounded, and I don't believe that many other Yonko crews can just test them. They're gonna get put down. Now in third place we have the Beast Pirates, and as I said before, it's the sheer numbers, and you have Kaido at the forefront, you have King, you have Queen, you have the Toby Ropo, you have everybody there. The sheer numbers on the crew is just what makes it so stacked. It makes it a pretty hard fight for anybody that wants to go up against them, unless you've got like 2 Yonko level people on the crew like how the Blackbeard Pirates do. But for me, they're at third. Moving on to fourth, we have the Whitebeard Pirates, and yes, I do believe that they do drop a few ranks down with the loss of Oden, but aside from that, I don't really think that there is much to really say. Yes, the crew has a lot of numbers on it, but with those numbers, they have good quality, so yeah, that's why the crew is here. And fifth, we have the Strider Pirates, who just need more strength. Like, the bottom 5 on the crew need to just up themselves for them to then move up in tiers, but yeah, for right now, they're going to stay at 5th place. On 6th, we have the Big Mom Pirates, and the reason exact same as before, they do have a lot of fighters, but they just don't have the strength behind those fighters to match with the other crews. And with 7th, we have Crosskilled, and it's the exact same as before. Yes, they do have 2 really good fighters, but it won't be able to hold up to the other crews. And with that being said, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I did enjoy making it. While I was recording this, I did think of a few things that a lot of people are going to probably scream out in the comment section, like, where's Yamato? Where's Yuta? Okay, first of all, why am I going to include Yamato when I believe that she's a Grand Fleet like person? I don't believe she's the actual main Straw Hat. I see her as a Grand Fleet. Like, I can see her putting up with Momo on the Grand Fleet. She isn't a main Straw Hat. I'm sorry to tell you guys that. Like, we're not doing that today. And Yuta was in the movie. I mean, if you want me to include Yuta, then yes, of course the Redhead Pirates are gonna be number 1. What else? Like, where else would they be? Yuta's probably the strongest character in the verse, period. So, I mean, look, listen. If you want me to include Yuta, then yeah, I mean, look, the Shanks Pirates or the Redhead Pirates are gonna be number 1. But I mean, I doubt anybody really wants me to include that. I know there's gonna be one person in the comment section that's gonna be like, but bro, where's Yuta? But yeah, as I always say, thank you for the support. I love you guys for all the support recently. And yeah, if you have anything that you want to discuss about and argue with me, then, you know, just comment down in the comment section. I am active in the comments. You can go look through like most of my videos. I am very active in the comment section. I am replying to you guys and saying, you know what, you make a good point, or I'll be like, you're kind of waffling, my guy. But yeah, so yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.